So we're all familiar with Order 66 and the fall of the Jedi Order, but one of the most iconic images of that moment in Star Wars history is the 501st marching on the Jedi Temple. So I figured today we'll take a look at the attack on the Jedi Temple, officially known as Operation Knightfall. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, Operation Knightfall was first seen in Revenge of the Sith at the start of the sort of Order 66 sequence. After christening Anakin Skywalker as Darth Vader, Palpatine orders him to lead the forces of the 501st to remove the Jedi Temple on Coruscant of any remaining Jedi. Vader leads the forces of his personal legion, the 501st, as they march up to the gates of the temple and basically storm its facilities, taking out any unsuspecting Jedi in the process. What ensues is a battle that seems to carry on throughout the night, where clone troopers sweep the facility to remove any surviving Jedi. And the imagery of the Jedi Temple, this sort of icon of the Jedi Order smoldering on Coruscant, became synonymous with the end of the Republic, the end of the Clone Wars, and the rise of the Empire. But what exactly was involved in carrying out this operation? After all, a lot of pieces had to be in place to make this possible. For starters, I won't be discussing the arrest attempt the Jedi made in the Chancellor's quarters. We all know how that went down and how that played out and how that plays into Palpatine's sort of picture of events. Now let's talk about the basic logistics to begin with. The 501st had to be on Coruscant for this to be possible. Now, I'm sure there were plenty of clone troopers around on Coruscant, but these aren't just any clone troopers, these are the 501st. And as many of us know, the 501st were some of the best forces within the Grand Army of the Republic. They had an impressive battle record stretching all the way back to the Battle of Geonosis, and were involved in some of the most crucial campaigns of the war. So their presence on Coruscant was likely not a coincidence. I would assume, and it kind of appears, that the 501st Legion was actually pulled back to partake in this operation. Obviously, it sounds like Palpatine could read the writing on the wall and that the jig for him was going to be up soon, so he called back at least a portion of the 501st to be present on Coruscant for this operation. Especially with his idea of, letting Darth Vader lead them. The idea of having Anakin's personal unit there was probably preferable to any random unit of clone troopers. So, the 501st had to be there, and the key members of the Jedi Order had to not be there. Now, I'm not saying any member of the Jedi Council could single-handedly wipe out the 501st. Those are some pretty incredible odds, even for a Jedi. But if a considerable number of members of the Jedi Council were present at the temple at the time of the attack, they could have swayed the battle in the favor of the Jedi. However, at this time, the Masters of the Jedi Order were scattered across the galaxy, fighting the battles that would become known as the Outer Rim Sieges. These battles were intended to put a final end to the Separatist cause that had threatened peace in the galaxy, and finally end the war. So the Jedi were going all in this final offensive. As such, many of the most capable Jedi were on the battlefields and not back at the temple. This left the temple relatively unguarded, and the most capable unit of clone troopers in the vicinity to take part in the assault. So, what was the objective of Operation Knightfall? Well, it's almost more symbolic than tactical. The idea was to sweep the Jedi Temple and remove any Jedi, obviously, but also to commandeer any knowledge the Jedi had. For example, the massive library we see throughout the entirety of the prequel trilogy, really. And to sort of damage the physical symbology of the Jedi. The Jedi Temple burning was visible for miles on Coruscant. You could see it from the Senate building. That's how massive the column of smoke was from the burning Jedi Temple. So it became this very visible sort of representation of the change that was going on politically in the galaxy at the time. At the end of the day, Operation Knightfall was unsurprisingly an Imperial victory, with the Jedi being forced out of the temple and the last remaining sort of elements of the Jedi Order being forced into hiding. We see by the next morning the temple had been turned into a smoldering wreck that was being used as a trap for remaining Jedi. With the all-clear signal being broadcast from the temple, many Jedi would head back, assuming the war was over and that it was time to return to regular Jedi duties, only to find an entire unit of clone troopers there waiting to massacre them. Seeing the symbol of the Jedi having fallen so low, as to be smoldering ruins really sort of drove home that the Jedi had fallen from what they once were. It didn't hurt that the general population was already starting to turn against the Jedi, seeing them as perpetrators of the war. As we see in some of the later seasons of the Clone Wars, there's actually regular protests on the steps of the Jedi Temple by the people of the galaxy who feel like the Jedi are responsible for the wars continuing. In the last few years of the Galactic Republic, if a galactic citizen was to have seen a Jedi, they were likely accompanied by a platoon of clone troopers. Like I said, there are characters, obviously, that would have known better and would have known the Jedi more personally, but to many of the people of the galaxy, this would have been a symbol that this warlike entity was gone. But, like I mentioned, these Jedi were always accompanied by clone troopers. The clone troopers looked up to these Jedi as not just commanders, but brothers, so what allowed them to carry out this betrayal? Well, many of us know the answer to that. It's the inhibitor chips. And if you'd like to know more specifics about the inhibitor chips, how they worked, and the role they played in Order 66, which made Operation Knightfall possible, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments how far in advance you think Palpatine actually planned Operation Knightfall. Do you think things just happened to line up with the 501st being on Coruscant, or do you think he actually assembled troops in advance, knowing that the Jedi were going to try to arrest him? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, leave it down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.